All right, we are live. I hope. Welcome to another Total OS Today Live. This is a private chat for all of my Patreon and PayPal assistants. Thank you. It is 9:25. We'll get started with the main topic 5 minutes from now. So if you are replaying this, you can fast forward about 5 minutes to get to the main topic. Tonight's topic is building the perfect Android phone or building the perfect smartphone. From what I've seen, it does not exist. It seems like manufacturers are going backwards and not forwards, and we'll get to that in a moment. But for now, let me just say welcome and thank you for stopping by. This is a private chat, but this will be released to the public usually less than a week, usually after we have a chat with the Patreon or PayPal supporters. So if you would like to join us, you can do so through PayPal or Patreon. The links are in the chat. And thank you. So we'll get started here shortly. Those of you who support the channel, if you would like to be on this chat, send me an email and I'll send you the link to join me on Hangouts if you so wish to. If you don't want to join me on the chat or on the Hangouts, what's the matter with you? No, I'm just kidding. That's cool. That's okay. Obviously, the more people we have live, the more nicer it is for me. But you don't have to appear live. Just join me on the chat and voice your opinions. And tonight's topic again is building the perfect Android phone. All right, it's 9:27, so we'll give this a few more minutes. In case you are watching this on the replay and have no idea what I use something called Ubuntu Mate Linux. I don't have to, but I like using Linux. Sometimes I'll use Windows 10. And I'm simply using Google Hangouts, web-based service. I'm using a single earpiece headset with a USB adapter. Somebody asked me what microphone I have. This is like, I don't know, 20 bucks on Amazon. USB adapter was $5 maybe. And that's what I use for these live hangouts. I have a Logitech Camera 920, I do believe. I don't use the internal microphones in the camera because they're awful. Good camera, but the internal mics, they're adequate, but nothing like this here, in my opinion. This feels more professional. At least to me. Someone said I look like someone from a call center. Thank you for calling Linux Inc. How may I direct your call? Anyway. All right. Give this a couple more minutes and we'll get started. Tonight's episode is not sponsored by Gatorade. Refreshing. Usually drink water, some Pepsi, but I like orange Gatorade. And let's see, do I have a message? No, just a news item. All right, just checking my emails, and we'll get started here in a minute or two. All right, looks good there. By the way, someone asked me about the latest Skype version number 8. I did test it in Ubuntu Linux. It looks great. It looks very clean and polished. I was having intermittent issues with sound. I don't think it's Skype. I think it's Pulse Audio in Linux and maybe also my outdated computer. It could be a combination of both. I don't know. I will test it in Windows 10 to see if I have the same issues. Then we'll go from there. Something off the news feed, PeerTube. The decentralized YouTube succeeds in crowdfunding. Piece of news. The crowdfunding project has blown through its initial goal with 53,000 euros collected in 42 days. Well, good for them. It is a fully decentralized version of YouTube. Okay. The project does not display ads. In terms of monetization, we wanted to make a neutral tool. Okay. Well, take a look at PeerTube. All right, I'm going to get started with the topic. Again, those of you who are watching this in the private session here, if you want to join me, send me an email at totalOStoday1@gmail.com for this private session. Again, I don't know how many of you are out there watching. I think I just posted this announcement just a few days ago. It's not a lot of notice. I'm sorry about that. One day I'll have a set schedule. So we'll see how things go. All right, let's go to the main topic. I do have a few notes. Okay, once again, good evening. This is Total OS Today, Total Technology for beginners and beyond. I dual boot, in case you are wondering. So good evening and welcome to another chat. Of course, this is Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Friday fettuccine. Not here, but I'm sure there was someone on YouTube who's probably eating fettuccine this fine Friday night. I am not. I just have my Gatorade. All right, so what is the perfect Android phone or the perfect smartphone? It doesn't exist. Let's flash back to 2007, and something called the iPhone comes to life. That gadget changes the world. It changes how we communicate to people. It changes how we communicate to the world. Let's flash forward today, and still no perfect Android phone or smartphone. And because of the current specific technology, I'll get to that in a moment. I think it's impossible, at least from what research I have done. So what is the perfect phone? Think of the word modular or modularization to make the perfect phone. So let's go through some examples of what I believe to be a perfect smartphone. I have an HTC Max, as you see here. It's outdated, but I still have it for now. Why? Well, it has a nice large screen. I think for a phone, I think the perfect screen is probably 5.5 to 6 inches. Anything larger, then you go into tablet territory, and I don't want to stick a tablet in my pocket. This one is almost too big, but you know what? I wear contacts, sometimes I wear glasses. It is nice to look at the larger screen size, the larger font. So I think 5.5 inch to 6 inch screen probably sounds about right for a nice smartphone. Phone drops. What if you drop the phone and you break the screen? Well, how about snapping on a new screen, a replaceable screen? Take the old one off, pop on the new one, problem solved. But what if you drop the phone, you change the screen, and it doesn't work? Well, hopefully your phone has a standard micro card, and this does, that you saved, you backed up all your important files, right, like you do on a PC. So if you drop the phone, you snap out the screen, still broken. Hopefully you have a standard micro card where you backed up your important contacts, files, photos, and stuff like that. Thinking of a PC, how about some more RAM? How about snapping on some more RAM? I think that would be great. Make it faster. I think Google years ago tried to experiment with a modular phone. I forget what it was called. I thought it was a great idea, but I think the project went nowhere, at least from what I recall. But adding more RAM when necessary would be great. You know what? How about a headphone jack? I think that would be very convenient. How about changing batteries? This one I can. A lot of phones today, flagship phones, they're sealed. And most batteries, they tend to lose their charge capacity after the first year. So if you have a 2-year contract or a 2-year lease, or if you don't have a lease but the phone's still in good shape and the battery is sealed, that is not user-friendly in my opinion. How about a standard policy of 5-year full updates on a flagship phone instead of 1 to 3 years on Android? 5-year full updates, software and security patches. 5 years for a flagship phone. A flagship phone, a phone that is $500 or more, I would consider a flagship phone in my opinion. The price of phones has gone up. Smartphones today as high as $1,000 or more. Here's the problem. I mentioned batteries. Battery technology has really not changed that much in, say, 20, 25 years. Phone technology has. They've gotten faster. The camera technology, storage capacity is great. But the battery technology, battery life in general, kind of sucks. Whether you spend $200 or $1,000 on a phone, there's not much difference in the battery from the research I have done. So the prices have gone up a lot, but battery technology, the quality of the battery technology has not grown, has not gone up in reference to the price of the phones, if that makes any sense. So when the prices of phones have doubled or more, battery quality technology hasn't doubled, tripled, or more. That's kind of perplexing in this day and age. I've done some research. They're working on different technologies, but that's probably, as of this recording, maybe 5 years down the line. Maybe. I don't know. But the battery technology, even with $1,000 smartphone, in my opinion, it's not worth it. This phone has speakers, top and the bottom. One of the reasons I've held on to this phone is the speakers are pretty good. Now I've been looking into a refurbished Google Nexus 6P, which I believe has a similar top and bottom speakers here. I've seen them on Amazon, less than $200. I believe there have been some issues with the batteries and stuff like that from what I have read. I'm not really sure. But the point is, you can pick up a 3-year-old flagship phone on Amazon if you want to for like $150. And performance-wise, it's probably not going to be that much difference, in my opinion, from a modern-day smartphone. Yeah, the cameras have gotten better, a little faster, but price-wise, you're probably better off with a 3-year-old phone, a pure Android phone, in my opinion. Less bloatware, such as a Google Nexus. Now, that's been replaced with the Pixel. And I think a 2-year-old Pixel is probably maybe even a better deal because it is a pure Android phone for about $200 or so. The perfect Android phone. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the perfect smartphone. It seems like one phone will have this feature that that phone doesn't have, or this phone has this feature that you wish this phone had. And I'm not sure what's going on with manufacturers, but the battery feature, battery quality, the lack of a battery quality feature seems to be stagnant. And that is the most irritating. To spend a lot of money on a phone, and we're spending a lot more time charging these phones, it would seem. It's not very user friendly. So think about that the next time you spend up to $1,000 on a smartphone, and the technology on that battery hasn't changed much in 25 years, probably. So that's my opinion on how to build the perfect Android phone or smartphone in general. I just can't see myself spending that kind of money, for a phone, and battery life, capacity, quality is still going to be outdated, even though the technology in the phone itself has grown, has kept up with the years, but the battery life technology has not. And I do not know what is on the horizon. But for this report, those are my thoughts on building the perfect Android phone. If you missed any of this, you can replay it. Again, I will release this to the public probably less than a week. And then we'll go from then on. After that, we'll go into the comments and any questions you may have. But I am an Android person versus iPhone. Simply because I can plug in this phone in Windows and Linux and it syncs. I like to keep it simple. When working with technology, I want to make it less of a chore and not more of a chore. Why make life more annoying when it doesn't have to be? Again, it's strictly my opinion. So those are my thoughts on the perfect Android phone. All right, so I don't know how many people are in the chat. I wasn't expecting. I know I got a few emails. Some of you couldn't make it, and that's okay. I think I sent out maybe 15 invitations, 16, 17, something like that. Hangouts only holds, I think, 10 in the Hangouts here on the Google's Hangouts. So I'll give this a few more minutes. It doesn't look like anybody's in the stream, and that's okay. I kind of figured it wouldn't be a lot of people anyway. So I'll hang out a few more minutes if anybody stops by or snaps by. If not, that's okay. I will end it, and then I'll catch you on the next live stream. I'm going to check my inbox to make sure I didn't miss anything. And it doesn't look like I have. So once again, if you missed any of this, if you're coming in late watching this, you can replay this. Those are my thoughts on building the perfect Android phone. Excuse me. I'm going to take a minute, just look at the ticker news feed and see if anything catches my eye. If not, then I will wrap this up. Disney confirms Guardians director, I guess Guardians of the Galaxy 2, 3, was fired over year-old tweets. Oh, those tweets can get you in trouble. Nothing much on the ticker feed for tonight. Let's see what else we have on the ticker feed. See if there's any Android news or smartphone news. A Forbes writer spent 2 weeks using Ubuntu. Check it out. It's on OMG Ubuntu, and you can see what he thought of 2 weeks in Ubuntu. A lot of duds tonight for the ticker feed, it would seem. 7 awesome things about the internet you wish you knew earlier. Interesting. Alright, I'll let this run by one more time on the feed. I'm going to shut it down. And not really exciting stuff tonight on the news feed, it would seem. Hackers targeting U.S. midterm elections. Oh, that's exciting. Singapore personal data hack hits 1.5 million. It's the year of the hack. Hackers, the Russian bank raid. Okay, alright. Be careful on the web. Be extremely careful, no matter what operating system that you use. Ubuntu 18.04 reviewed in Linux Pro magazine. Okay. By the way, the latest Ubuntu podcast has been released. Check out the ubuntupodcast.org. And let's see, something about cyber war. Good evening, Steve's very own. How are you? FCC opens public comments on T-Mobile Sprint merger. Somewhat smartphone news. Can Nike's $250 running shoes make you run faster? Analysis says yes. Yeah, you run faster because you have thieves running to jump you to steal your shoes. And I mentioned PeerTube, the decentralized YouTube, succeeds in crowdfunding. Okay, I'm going to stop the ticker feed. Steve is in the house. Welcome, Steve. It looks like it's just you in the house. Welcome. I just wrapped up my thoughts on the building the perfect Android phone. I think I made about 7 or 8 examples on how to build the perfect Android phone or smartphone in general. Yeah, I didn't get a lot of email replies, people that would confirm to join, so I didn't expect a lot of people joining. Besides myself right now, it's me and you. But that's okay. You know, nothing wrong with that. So I've gone solo many times before. No, I'm just kidding. We'll wait a few more minutes, Steve. Then we'll see if anybody else jumps on. Steve, if you want to join me live, you're more than welcome to. I'll hang out for a little bit more if you want. I only had that one topic. I spoke for about, 10 minutes or so, and then wrapped it up. But if you want to join me here, that's fine. I think you were on last time. I think. Okay. Let's send Steve a link to join me, so I won't be alone, home alone, as it were. All right, give me a second here. All right. Link is coming now. Tim F. is in the house. You're late. I'm going to deduct points off your grade. All right, let's invite Tim. Even though you guys are joining me after I finished my... I'll have to repeat myself. Oh, God, I sound like a politician. All right. I know Tim was busy. I got your email. Completely understandable. All right, those links are coming now to join me in the house. Steve, Tim says, make me go to bed early, please. Okay, this will help. Long day, Tim?
Good evening.
Good evening, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well. Had,
Good.
tonight was my son's karate night, and we just got back, so I'm a
Cool.
little late.
Cool. I took martial arts for quite a few years. That's how I stayed in shape after eating all that meatballs and pasta. Tim says he wants to go to bed early. No, 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 no. You got to join us, Tim. Come on. Come on.
And let me get another light on here. I'll be right back.
Okay. Tim, if you really are tired, Tim, that's okay. You don't have to join. I was just kidding. If you just beat, don't worry. I'll catch you next time. Um, but
Make me.
he said maybe go to bed early, please. I'm like, maybe this will help. For tonight's topic, you know. So what phone do you have, Steve?
I have a Samsung. I got an S8.
Okay, I think my son has that.
Yeah. Am I too loud there?
No, it sounds good. It sounds good. Not too loud. We don't want to keep Tim awake,
No.
I know he had a long day. He sent me an email, so he might be a little bit too tired. So,
Yeah, but I got an S8, and
okay.
for the longest time I had an S3. I wasn't about to get a new phone until that one kind of crapped out on me. But I love it. I was kind of putting a few things down on what I would want on a phone, but
Yeah.
definitely no bloatware.
Is that phone sealed, meaning you can't change the battery or a micro card?
You can change a microcard. There's an SD slot in it.
But a sealed battery.
Actually, I'm not sure. I never tried to open it. I've never had any problems with it. I've had it close to 2 years now.
Okay.
And it's pretty decent because it doesn't have a lot of bloatware. I think Samsung has got a little bit away from that. Verizon is kind of listening to the big guys.
Yeah.
It was that between that and the Pixel, and the Pixel is just you're straight up Google phone.
Yes, I was actually looking at a Google Nexus 6P. I seen them refurbed on Amazon for like as little as $119. That's still an excellent price for that kind of a phone because it'll update to the latest Android, if I'm not mistaken. Tim is trying to join. Tim, are you having problems? I think he's using Ubuntu 16.04. I think that's what he said. But yeah, I have this HTC Max, and this is really 5 years old. I know, but you know what? These front-firing speakers, top, bottom, you just can't beat. And I think the 6P, the Nexus 6P, has the same speakers. I think it's a sealed. I think it's a sealed battery and microcard, but you can get them as high as 128 gigabytes of internal storage. But the speakers on that phone, I heard, are like this. And for between 114 and 190 bucks, upgrade to full Android, not bad.
Yeah.
When you think about it. I hope Tim's okay and trying to join us. I'll go into a recap here in a minute or so to get Steve's opinion here, and then we'll see if Tim can join us. Again, thank you to all of the Patreon supporters and PayPal. So, Tim, is it Ubuntu giving you problems? Or if it is, do you have a second laptop maybe just to try? I have multiple machines just in case. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I think I saw where he tried to join 2 or 3 times and then he just went off. So I'm not sure what's going on. All right, let me start for the recap, and then hopefully Tim can make it. So what I basically talked about
There he
Ah,
is.
there he is.
Good evening.
What's up, brother Tim?
Well, the sky, the price of milk, and I hear gas isn't too cheap
Ba-da-ba.
now either.
Yes, yes. Gas is it's going up. And I don't mean the gas that you go to the bathroom with. So.
I,
How was your day, Tim?
it was
Long.
It was long, but it was good. So,
Okay. Yeah.
it's long but good. Steve, hi. Nice to see
Hi,
you.
Tim. Doing well. How are you?
I'm not bad. Nice to see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, since my brother's here, my friends joined me late. I will recap what I talked about. Again, those of you who watch this on the replay, you can skip this part if you want to, or you can watch it again. That's entirely up to you. So I talked about building the perfect Android phone. In 2007, the iPhone came out. It changed the world. It changed how we communicate to people, friends, the world, and so on. If we flash forward now to today, we still don't have the perfect Android phone or the perfect smartphone. And it's impossible, at least from the research I have done, because of one thing, and I'll get to that in a moment. The perfect Android phone to me is 5.5 to 6-inch screen. This is 5.9 for the HTC. And this is almost too big. But I wear contacts. Sometimes I wear glasses. It's nice to have a larger screen size. But again, if you go higher than 6-inch, now we're talking a tablet. I don't want a brick in my pocket, as it were. Okay, but a larger screen is definitely nice for us guys who wear glasses. Speaking of screen, speaking of this, what if you drop the phone? Ooh, the screen cracked. How about a user replaceable screen? Like you snap out the back, snap out the broken screen, snap on a new screen, ready to go. To me, the key word here in all this to making a user-friendly phone is modularization. Components, like you would add to a PC, components, like a video card, RAM, stuff like that. So how many of us drop our phones, maybe hits the wrong way, and that Gorilla Glass still cracks or breaks? The phone may turn on and work, but you can't hit the digitizer, I think it's called. How about snap on a new screen? I think that would be great, right? Speaking of RAM, how about snapping on some new RAM, changing the RAM when you have to, like on a PC? Why not? A headphone jack. iPhones don't have a headphone jack, and I guess that really ticked off a lot of people who are used to having, because not everybody wants the ear pods or AirPods or brain pods, whatever they're called. And sometimes I go to the pool, I'll bring my little Bluetooth speaker, plug in the cord, and not turn on the Bluetooth to extend battery life on a phone. We talked about sound. Most phones today, the sound, it's not very good when you think about it. These have two front-firing speakers, top and the bottom. Okay, and that's why I've held on to this 5-year-old phone. The problem with this phone, it only has 1.5 gigs of RAM, and HTC really botched it. And I think they're in trouble again. They're not doing too good. And they used to be the darling of Android, but it was stupid specifications like 1.5 gigs of RAM on a flagship phone. But I like my speaker, so for now I'm going to hold on to it. But I was talking about the Google Nexus 6P that has the speakers like this. And that phone, even 3 years later, still holds up to a $1,000 iPhone. You can get that for less than $200, I talked about batteries, battery life, and battery quality. An iPhone 10 is what, $1,000? That's a lot for a phone. The price has gone up accordingly over the years as they pack more features in the phone. Understandable, but battery technology has not kept up with the price going up. There's an imbalance. And we are using phones, whether you spend $200 or $1,000, we are using phones with pretty much 25-year-old battery technology. Think about that. $1,000 on a phone or more, and that battery is not much better than this $173 HTC Max. Is that justified? Only the consumer can decide. Without without putting all those features in any smartphone to make it more user friendly. And we talk about making Linux more user friendly from the standpoint of not the engineer, but the user, mom and pop. What are they looking for? Well, I just mentioned what I'm looking for, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. You know, you buy a new phone, $1,000, $500. 2 years later, you know what? I don't want a new phone. It's still great. But now the battery craps out. But it's a sealed battery. Yeah, you can go on Amazon, buy a kit, do this, that. But do you really want to do that? Did you really spend $500 to $1,000 to make your life more miserable, so to speak, or more annoying, or more irritating? You know, the use of technology, the goal is to make it less of a chore, to improve our lives, and not make it more of a chore. So when phones are shipped without those friendly features, it doesn't justify $1,000 on a smartphone. Finally, on flagship phones, if you spend $500 or more on a phone, you should be able to get 5 years full updates. 5 years full updates on software and security. HTC, I believe, stopped supporting this phone fully after a year. That's unacceptable. That's why they're probably not going to make it. Somebody said HTC stands for Help This Company. It probably does. They had the capability to make nice phones. I mean, this with the original battery still rocks. But, yeah. Anyway. So, it's impossible today to make my perfect phone because apparently we don't have that battery technology that has kept up with phone technology. You would think with all these captured UFOs we have, we could re-engineer or reverse engineer their tech and put it in the stinking phone, but no. Apparently that's reserved for the military. I'm speculating, of course. So even if they put all this, you know, what I talked about in a phone, it's going to cost you minimum $600 or more, but your battery technology is from the Flintstone age. It's almost kind of a ripoff when you think about it. You know, how many times do I have to charge my phone? I got to charge my phone. Come on, it's 2018. You know, but
Well, I can't complain with my S8.
Okay.
It's got some pretty good battery life.
Okay.
I'm not a constant user. I'm not a gamer. I don't do games in that, but I do. I'm a retail manager, so to keep in touch with the other managers in our district,
Okay.
we do Group Me. So I'm on
Okay.
Group Me a lot, and that.
Okay.
But I still get a lot of battery out of this Samsung. I can go.
How long will it
day.
last on a full charge? One day?
Oh, easily. Yeah. If it
can
depends
you-
on my use. A little heavier
Okay.
use, you know. But I've gone where, you know, by the time I get home and plug it in at night, I've let it gone down and maybe it reached 39% left.
Okay. All right.
You know,
So
I get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So
Okay. Here's the thing. Cell phones have been out for years. Smartphones have been out, you can say, since the iPhone came out. Now we are 11 years later. In my opinion, if a flagship phone is close to $1,000 or more, I've seen some phones $2,000, custom-made phones. If it's that much, and those Samsung phones are about $800 retail,
yeah.
right? If you cannot get at least a week, 5-day work week battery life, to me, strictly my opinion, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather wait a year or two, like buying a used car but not too used, and spend half or less. Again, that Google Nexus I looked up on that, the Nexus 6P. Someone on YouTube did some tests, and it holds up almost as good as a $1,000 iPhone, if that's true. Now, I don't have them in front of me, I don't know. But if that's true, I could pick up a 6P for $144 or so, 64 gigabytes, and almost as good 3 years later. So what's a better deal? You
know,
tell me.
I kind of look at my phones the same way I look at my computers.
Mhm.
My wife and I we don't want to get stuck into a contract, or we didn't want to,
Yeah.
because we were unsure where we were going to land once we moved.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't want to get stuck in a contract, but I wanted a reasonable phone. So we went to Metro PCS.
Yeah.
I have, her and I both got the same phone. I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
It is a, oh, come on, where the heck is it? About phone. It is a LG K20 Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 32 gig of storage.
Good.
We got our phones for free. Two of them when we walked into Metro PCS. And I think we have unlimited talk, text, and data. They don't throttle the data.
Okay.
And we have 20 gigabyte of mobile hotspot per month,
Okay.
which is good enough. And we pay $102 a month for two phones. And this phone, I'm coming up right on a year
Okay.
of usage.
Mm-hmm.
I've had no problems with it. I have
Good.
not had to walk back into Metro PCS to say, hey, this stupid thing's broken or whatever the
Right.
case is.
Yeah.
Neither is my wife.
Okay.
Battery life on it in just, let's just say, standby mode. A couple of phone calls a day, some texting, nothing else going on. I could easily get 4 or 5 days out of it. Easily.
That's not
Now-
bad for a non-flagship phone, as it
Yep.
were. Yeah.
Now, big issue is heavy usage. If I use the GPS, sucks it right down. You can go from 85%. You can do a 2-hour drive with the GPS running, and you'll be down to 35%. Pretty easy. However, what I do use my phone for is watching media in the evenings. I'm laying in bed, turn on the old YouTube, watch Total OS Today replays. And if you're not doing the same, shame on you. And I'll lay down at night and I'll have 90% on my phone. I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up with the phone on my chest. The following morning, I still have well over 70%.
Okay.
So it's reasonable. But,
Yeah.
you know, now that we understand where we're going to be planting our feet here, so to say, I see all the commercials on TV where you can get 5 lines through people like Sprint or whatever, and now they have a 50% off, $22 per line, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I don't think I'm going to give this thing up. I'm going to use it until it dies
Because it works.
because it works.
And it
I'm
wasn't
not-
$1,000. Yeah.
It wasn't a grant. Now, if I was to go out and buy a phone, which I could do with Metro PCS, and their service is just completely awesome. It's great. I would probably go out and get the newest Google Pixel.
I mentioned that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably what I would get. And
It's
that's
pure
because-
Android. I think it's less bloatware. Yeah. Mhm.
And for me, I'm a Google service user, Gmail, Drive, bunch of other things. That's the reason I would get it.
Because of what I do, and I have a large enough screen, so at night, like if I'm in bed and I take my contacts out, don't sleep with your contacts, in spite of what they say. I'm looking at this close, like, because I can't see far, so I'm like this. It's nice to have a larger screen. I have to crank up the brightness sometimes. That drains the battery. But because of what I do, I'm always messages, updates, videos, and it drains the battery. That's why sometimes, oh man, the battery's dying. I'll put this to the side and grab my Samsung tablet. Well, I forgot to charge it. Let me grab the iPad. There we go. I'm just because it's annoying. I got to plug this. No. So I try to keep all 3 things charged. It's rare that I do that, but like if I forget to charge it drains. Now I got the wire dangling from the wall to my bed. That's annoying. So I'm going to grab my tablet if it's ready to go. Again, because batteries in general, they have not kept up with the prices, in my opinion, accordingly. If phone prices have doubled or more, smartphones since 10 years ago, the battery technology hasn't. Now, I think flagship phones, maybe the newer ones, they're more efficient using batteries, using the technology in the battery. But generally speaking, battery technology on its own has not kept up with the features in the smartphone itself. That's my opinion. Again, I'm looking at that Nexus 6P, a pure Android phone that will run today's Android. 3 years later, that's user-friendly. Now, I believe it's sealed. You can't change the battery, so if the battery craps, I think they make the kits. I suppose it would be worth fixing, but that's not user-friendly, and you can't stick a micro card. But I usually back up on my PC anyway, photos and stuff. And by the way, have you remembered to back up your PC stuff? Tim, send me a link. Well, let me see what that link is. Okay, well, it's on sale. Thank you. Of course.
That's right.
Oh, wait.
The price range.
It's a bargain. But hey, it's free shipping.
And you get a free case and headphones.
Oh, well, that just sealed it.
I didn't realize this, but I had looked at that phone.
Yeah.
Shortly after, sometime after Christmas, like
Okay.
January, February.
Yeah.
And it was actually more like, I think, $4,000 at one time.
Oh my God.
So you talk about part of the thing with telephones is the way that they're marketed. Now, of course, this is a phone that's got the name of a high-end car maker on it, and
Chevy.
of course,
No, just kidding.
well, even if you were to go and buy a Chevy phone, let's say, this thing to me looks like it's nothing other than kind of a spruced up version of something you could go and get from Verizon.
It's you pay for the name, probably.
Yep.
Probably, I don't know. Yeah.
And if you were to able to buy that, say for, let's just say, $600, $700, somebody like these guys put their name on it, it's $2,500.
Yeah.
If Chevy put their name on it, it would probably still be $800 or $900. You never know.
It's not for me, but thank you for the suggestion.
The Pixel 2
Yeah.
tech specs.
Pixels are good from what I understand. They replaced Nexus, I think, in 2016, 17, something like that. And they're good phones,
12.2 megapixel camera.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two sizes. One has the Pixel 2 has a 5-inch screen. The Pixel 2 XL has a 6-inch screen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to. It's got a Snapdragon processor, 4 gig of RAM, storage. You can either get 64 or 128 gig. Front-firing speakers.
It does have the speakers in the front. Good. Okay.
Yep. Okay, battery life, the big thing. Up to 7 hours of go with 15 minutes of charge.
Fast charger, good. Okay.
Yep. Same for both
Okay.
versions. And it's got one USB-C type port on it.
That's the reversible, yeah.
Yep. 2-year warranty.
Okay.
So
The Nexus 6P 5.7-inch screen, AMOLED Gorilla Glass 4. I think today it goes up to 6 or 7. Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. The RAM is 3 gigs. Internal storage 32, 64, 128 gigs. I think a 12 megapixel camera front and rear. Front firing speakers. Let me see here real quick. 4K video capture. I didn't know that. The front camera is 8 megapixel. Not bad. The battery is 3450 milliamps. I believe that's close to this if I'm not mistaken. USB-C, headphone jack, SIM slot. Okay, and I could pick this up if I wanted to now on Amazon for like $144 for a 64 gigabyte flagship phone that will handle today's Android. Not bad.
what was the battery milliamp on that?
3450.
Okay, on the Google Pixel 2, smaller one, it's 2700.
That's
the-
a difference, yeah.
On the Pixel 2 XL, the 6-inch screen model, it's 3520.
Not much difference.
Nope.
Well, it's different. That's what I'm getting at. The battery tech really hasn't kept up to balance out the increase in prices, in my opinion. That's why nowadays it's probably, even with all those other features, which would be nice, without that battery juice, especially me when I'm always doing something on it, I don't think the perfect phone exists today, unless they got something secret battery technology waiting in the wings, you know.
Well, why would
And
they
these-
update the battery? Because they just want you to get another phone.
They
And
want you to get a new phone.
It could be. It could be.
Toss, how much did you say you could get that Nexus for?
Amazon, the last time I checked, the 64 gigabyte one is about $144 for free shipping.
Okay, so
Not bad. Yeah.
let me and the Google Pixel 2, the XL, would kind of be the successor to that in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, two
Kind
stages
of.
above. Yeah, I think the
Okay,
3 is coming out this year. Yeah.
So let's the $649 is for the small one, the 5-inch screen.
Okay.
So Google Pixel 2, 6-inch, the XL.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it unlocked for any carrier.
Yes.
Let's get it in just black
Yeah.
case.
Mhm.
And you said 64 gig,
Well, let's go 64. Yeah.
64 gig.
Mhm.
Do we want to pay $129 for the extra protection?
I wasn't gonna do it for the Nexus. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave that off. Okay, so the price is now $849.
Okay. How much RAM does it have?
4 gigabyte.
That's one more than this. Somewhat substantial. Okay. Camera specs.
Let me get back to that. Bear with me here. Oh, come on.
By the way, the Nexus has a fingerprint sensor. Okay.
12.2.
Really? Camera. This is
Megapixel.
12.3 for the Nexus.
Okay.
But that probably has other features to make it a better camera, if I had to guess. But is it worth 4 times as much?
This says it's a smart camera with dual pixel autofocus.
Okay, so I kind of figured it would. It's probably better. Okay, all right, fair enough. So it's a better camera. But those are your choices. You get something like that with a gig of RAM more, better camera, battery a little bit better, not much, at four times the cost. And it's sealed. I don't think you can change the battery.
See, now this is stuff that is kind of beyond me. The camera, the rear camera is 12.2.
Mm-hmm.
Front camera is 8.
Same as this. Okay.
Okay. Video capture.
This is 4K, probably pixel also.
Okay, the rear camera, 1080p at 30 feet per second,
Okay.
60 feet per second, or 120 feet per second.
Frames
Yep.
per second. Yeah.
At 720p, you can do 30, 60, or 240
Okay.
frame per second. And
Okay.
4K, you can do 30
Okay.
frames per second. And then the front camera, 1080 is 30 frames per second, 720 is 30 frames
Okay.
per second, and 480 is 30 frames per second.
Okay.
So
Those are nice specs. There's
Yep.
no question. But again, when you match that to this, unless you are absolutely picky about photography and the camera and the video, and I can understand that, I think the Nexus 6P is a better deal. Just from what I've seen, you know. I
Well,
think
you're-
3 gigs of RAM would probably be enough.
you're at
That's
20,
I-
20% of the price of a new phone. So how could you go wrong?
And if you have to change the battery, I've seen the kit on YouTube, the battery kit's like $20. Now you got to be careful if you're going to do it yourself. Granted, I'm considering a Nexus 6P. You know, the only thing that's holding me back is if I've heard they've had their issues with the batteries on the 6Ps. They would shut down a 30% battery, 40% battery. I can't have that. So would I get a refurbished phone with or without the battery issue? That would be annoying if it hadn't. That's why I'm holding back. Putting that aside, it's not a bad price. So again, that would almost be the perfect phone because of the price, you know. And it does everything I would need. You know, check an email, a quick vlog, you know. And it has double the RAM of this, which was a flagship phone at one time.
Yep.
You know. I think this is a better deal. It's that simple. Now, some people got to have the latest and greatest because they get emotional about it or they just want to keep up with technology. Understandable. You know, but for me to keep up with technology, the only thing that I see that would really, for me to keep up with tech would be a new computer monitor, because I use that a lot, you know, because that's what I do, you know. I'm not going to take my desktop to bed, you know.
Yep.
You know, sometimes I'll have my laptop, but this is my laptop when you think about it, or my iPad, you know.
Mhm.
But and that phone is $800, right?
850.
And I know you can get a pretty decent high-end refurbished computer to do YouTube. Not jazzed out specs granted, but enough to do this for the same price.
Yep.
And you can add RAM to it,
Yeah.
you know. So again, there is no perfect smartphone. I think people buy either on impulse, emotion. They drop their phone, it cracked. You can't change the screen. You got to ship it out. The screen's $200 and all this. You know, it's. I don't
Like I
see the
said,
perfect phone. Yeah.
I had my S3, and you know, it wasn't. You know, as time went on, it wasn't super fancy,
Yeah.
but it suited my needs. And the only reason I ended up having to get a new phone was because I had gotten this really nice car mount that fits in my cigarette lighter.
Ah, yeah.
And instead of having wires, it had the jack on it. But the way I would put it in destroyed this, and it wasn't taking a charge.
Ah, okay, yeah,
So-
yeah.
You know, but I had the phone for like 5 years. And
That's
then,
good.
You know, yeah. And then, you know, the S8, I'm going to keep this for a while. The camera's really good. It has 4 gigs of memory. It's got all the effects that
Good.
Tim read
Good.
off my one camera. This camera does the same thing.
You know, Samsung makes. I still have a Samsung Galaxy 4. I have as a backup. And I can change the battery, which is nice, and add a micro card. No, they make good phones. They definitely make good phones. I think the speakers still suck in them. I don't know. How's the speaker in the S8?
Just, you know, if I just listen to the speaker, it's adequate if
Okay.
I don't have
Okay.
headphones and all that.
Okay.
But most of the
So-
time I'm using
yeah.
headphones, or I had
Okay.
gotten from, from eBay,
Mm-hmm.
not eBay, I'm sorry, from Amazon,
Yeah.
a Bluetooth speaker.
Okay.
It's a DOS. It's called DOS. It was like $34. The sound on this
Yeah.
is flipping incredible. In fact, it's so good that now my wife pretty much stole it from me, and she's got it hooked up with her Asus little
Okay.
Windows 10 laptop, you know. And but for $34, it rivals
Yeah.
both.
Nice.
So that's what I use most of the time, either headsets or that. But in a pinch, if I'm like at work or something and I'm taking a break,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do a lot of videos or that at work, but
Well, obviously, a bigger full-featured speaker cannot compare even to the
Yep.
Max speakers. But this phone, if I crank it up, will fill up a room. Assuming there's no other extraneous sounds, or it will. People can listen to the music or a video with these speakers. In fact, one day at the doctor's office, I was showing the nurse, the receptionist, my phone playing the video. She says, "Boy, that sounds great. What kind of phone is that?" So, I mean, I'm not the only one, you know. But most speakers today and most flagship phones, next to the battery technology, they're not. And we have speaker technology, obviously, but they're not doing it. They're not. It's almost a ripoff, almost, you know. But again, my opinion, you know. But that's why I belong to this. I bought this 3 years ago. It came out 2013. I bought it 2015 because I still like the speakers. Now, it bogs down. The more apps I add, I'm like, come on, and it freezes. So it's beginning to be a pain. It's just not a priority now because I have to get a new computer. But that Nexus 6P, for the people who watch this later on, you want a good Android phone. Be prepared. The battery issues they had, you may get hit with that or not. It is a gamble, but the price is wonderful, and you can update, I think, to the latest Android 8, 7 or 8, and that's not bad for a 3-year. It is a full Android phone, from what I understand, little to no bloatware, and the speakers, I guess, are like this. So that's my semi-perfect Android phone. You know
what? If you're going to go and buy that Lamborghini phone, Toss, I just found you the ultimate docking station.
Oh God. Okay, go ahead.
I just posted a link.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me check it out.
And you can get it in different colors.
Okay. May have to mortgage my house, but let's see. Yes, I accept the cookies. Jeez.
Holy Christ!
Wow.
Oh,
You have
Now
to
that.
you
Now
have to have
that.
a lot of disposable income.
Now that. Does it give a price?
Scroll down.
I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling.
it's like at the end of the movie, The Italian Job, when the kid playing Napster got his best stereo system and blew the clothes off.
Yep.
For those who watch this later, the carbon fiber docking station, carbon fiber, in case of a nuclear attack, the speaker still works. It's the speaker's 24,000.
Jeez.
Does it charge your phone at least?
I don't know.
You a cappuccino.
Oh, wow. Does it cook calamari when I want it?
For that type of price, it better
Wow.
have 2 cups of cappuccino ready for me
That's
in the
right.
morning. And it should
That's
follow
right.
me in the bathroom and help me shave, shower, and clean me up when I'm done.
It could have at least a built-in clock. Come on.
Well, your phone's got that.
True, but
No.
bigger. Oh, never mind. And I thought Bose was somewhat pricey, but good stuff for $600. But Lamborghini saying Bose. I thought Bang & Olufsen was kind of pricey, but it's good. But this is like, shove those to the side. Okay. Well, that wraps it up for the perfect Android speaker for 24 Gs. At least it comes in colors for that price. Right on.
You can actually have it if you order your car in a one-off color, like a paint to sample type thing.
Yeah.
They will paint the speakers the same color as your car. But you have to order them at the same time.
Okay. Well, hey, you buy that $24,000 speaker, put some Armor All on it to cap it off. It's well worth it.
Well, I guess if you can afford a Lamborghini,
You might be
who
able
cares
to.
about the price, right?
Even if I could, that just doesn't sound right for a speaker. It doesn't feel right. You know what I mean?
I think it's ugly.
Yeah, it's definitely belongs in a sci-fi movie. It almost looks like missiles will come out of it or lasers, to kill the alien or something. But that is not the perfect speaker, obviously. But anyway, but that's it with the taste. Phone technology speakers. It's like Linux. You have choices, obviously. You have choices. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the perfect Android/smartphone. Doesn't exist, at least not yet. So I think we'll wrap it up here. It's 10:30, so we'll wrap this up for the private chat. Again, those of you who watch this later on, or once I post this public, feel free to comment. And maybe you have a perfect phone, whatever that is, those of you who watch this later. So thank you, Steve and Tim. Thank you, Shih Tzu.
Thank you guys.
Even the Shih Tzu. How much? 24,000. No. Oh no. Anyway, This was fun, so we'll do another private chat somewhere down the line. If you would like to join us for the private chats and support the channel, you can do so. There are links in the chat through Patreon and PayPal. It is not a paywall. Just want to let you. It's just as a thank you, a reward. One of my subscribers says just do that or something like that, and that's fair. So that's why I'm doing these. But I will release these to the public later on. So, but private chats. If we get more people, maybe someone wants to talk privately, as it were. But I don't know what the next topic will be. Maybe someone will send me a topic to talk about.
I sent you an email. I might have sent it to. I don't know if you get to see it. I think I might have replied to one of the first emails I got from you. It ended in GXM or whatever.
Oh, okay. I'll have to. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, and I don't want to be self whatever. But
Yeah.
I started a YouTube channel and
Okay.
doing little videos.
Yeah.
And I posted a video. I kind of did a rant in a way on.
Oh, I see now. I see the email. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
About
on,
phone scams and the
Yeah.
elderly. That's not a bad topic. Yeah.
Last Saturday, and
Okay.
not the
Right.
first time, and it really, it's really a shame that stuff happens.
Yeah, we can talk about that maybe for the next private chat.
I have a couple of stories that I can bring from.
Yeah, that might be a good topic. Yeah, I see the email. It was okay. I see it now. Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Cool.
An
idea, but it's
okay. Yeah, I don't know anybody personally that has gone through that. I remember one time my older relative got a phone. You have just won this and he's like, great, you send me that first and then I'll pay you. No, it doesn't work. Click. He just hung up the phone. He doesn't waste his time, But this could be a topic: phone scams and the elderly, or phone scams and really anybody
in
nowadays.
general, because that same day I got now they're doing robocalls for the Microsoft stuff where sir, it's just the number of the computer that is associated with Windows, but now it's a robocall, so now they're making you call them instead of getting it right away. And then I had another warrant out for my arrest from the IRS, so
That's always fun.
One of these days I'll get a call from tech support, and I'm waiting just to have some fun. I'll go into my accent. Who the freak did you? I want to kick your freaking. What you doing, man? I kick you down to Mexico. Click. Just to have fun. But they're people too, so I guess you gotta be, just be polite and say no, thank you. Again, I don't like to go that route.
I tried, but they did call me at 11 o'clock. I had just
Oh,
gone to
jeez.
sleep
Yeah.
on my cell phone. So I think it's my assistants at work.
Yeah.
And sir, this is Microsoft support, and I'm like, are you effing kidding me? And I was just so tired, and I just went off on her, and then she finally did hang up on me, but I didn't get that at that time of night.
It's sometimes justified to be uncivil, ranting, inhuman, as it were, and that's understandable. But for people who watch this later and do that, please don't make it a habit.
Yeah.
Okay, there's enough going on in the world today. All right, well, on that note, I'm going to wrap this up for this private chat. Again, those of you who watch this and support this channel, thank you. It does help. It does help. So I'm going to wrap this up now. Give me a few minutes, guys. I'll set up another chat. We'll go into YouTube Live if you guys want to.
Yep.
And I'll send you another link, and we'll go from there. I don't have anything else to add for this Android thing. Do you? Or I think we pretty much covered it. So those are my thoughts. Again, those of you watch this later, if I missed anything or I got something wrong or I'm a total idiot, that's okay. You let me know that I am, but you got to prove it. What did I miss? So that we all can learn. My philosophy is I want to learn something by being with people smarter than me. Because if they're not smarter than me, then how does that help me or us? Again, just my philosophy. Okay. I'm going to sign off here. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll start another hangout, guys. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
You
Ciao.
guys
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Catch you later.